Good evening, everybody. It's Dan again, and I am going to dive into the second track now in Mario Kart 64, which is Moo Moo Farm. A lot of people consider this one of the worst tracks in the game. Some people like it. I have to say that I fall into the first category, but to each their own. The two reasons why people don't like it are, number one, there are moles that can pop out of the ground and hit your cart randomly, and these moles of course happen to fall along the fastest path. And then the other reason is because there's a lot of elevation changes in this course, and that also does affect your driving and sometimes messes up what you're trying to do. I would recommend for a beginner to not risk driving through any moles at all, because you're a beginner and whatever time you could get driving through the moles and risking it a lot, 2 weeks later you could probably beat without risking anything, just because you're getting better at driving. I think it's just better to focus on your driving first, and then eventually you can start risking going through the moles. Anyway, so let me first show you what the moles are and how they work a little bit. Basically, there's a whole bunch of mole holes on certain sections of the course. We call those mole holes patches, or we say that there are patches of mole holes. So there's what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 holes here. Of course, they cover up the inside line. If you were trying to be really risky and get the best time you can, you would drive between these moles, and a lot of times you'll wind up going over 1 or 2 holes. But as a beginner, I would recommend going all the way around the side. Anytime you drive over one of these holes, you will avoid the moles if they don't appear at all. But any point that they're visible, they can hit you. You can drive under them. If I drove a little faster, I might have made it. So like right there, I drove under that one. But if its head is sticking out even a little bit, like that, then you will get popped up like that. Hitting a mole loses like 2 seconds, and it basically kills your run. So it's just not worth it as a beginner. You have about a 40% chance to hit a mole every time you drive over a hole, and for a beginner I would just recommend not doing that at all. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to drive a 3-lap run. On lap 1, I'm going to show you what a run would look like if you don't risk going over any moles. On lap 2, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a little bit of risk, which if you're getting better, I would recommend trying. And then lap 3, I'm going to show you what the maximum risk strat is, something that I wouldn't recommend yet, but just so you can see what it is. So anyway, I'm going to start the run. I will mention now that anytime I say MT, I'm referring to what's called a mini turbo. So prepare for me to say that a lot. I'm going to start off by just driving straight. Again, as a beginner, you can also do a shroom slide, or a slide in the beginning if you want. So I do an MT here, another one here. I go safely around the moles. One here, another one here. Missed it, that's okay. I'm gonna do a mini turbo here. And then here I'm gonna use a mushroom, go around, and that was good enough for me for a 26-second lap. Alright, here I'm gonna show you a little bit of risk, so I'm not gonna take any risk in these moles. But I am going to, I did an extra one, that's okay. I'm gonna go inside here and then drive here. You can also go inside one of the last moles. It's not too hard to do that. And then here I'm gonna do maximum risk. Okay, so I tried to kind of go between those mole patches and it didn't work. You can see I missed a mini turbo there because the ground sucks, to put it bluntly. And then that is how you risk the ending. Alright, so that was a 3-lap strategy. On the 3-lap, you're going to want to use one shroom per lap. I would recommend doing that instead of using all 3 on 1 lap. But I will show you the fast lap strategy now. So if you're not risking anything with the moles, I think either way you're going to still do the mushroom strategy the same. You'll use your first mushroom here. Go around. You'll use a mushroom there. Of course, I hit them all, it's okay. And then you use the last one there. I'll show you what the risky strategy looks like. Again, I would not recommend doing this as a beginner. Here, you'll just use your mushroom and try to go through the first patch. You'll want to use your mushroom here. Of course, you should be able to see. Oh, by the way, I didn't risk as much as I should have right there if I was showing the riskiest strat, but what I just did was actually the slightly risky strat. But as I'm doing these runs, you can see that a lot of times the ground is messing with my driving. So like anytime I'm driving along this kind of path, things become really difficult to do. Like sometimes you can't even get a hop, sometimes you can't get a shroom. It slows you down a lot, and it just kind of sends your driving all wonky. So like here also, I tried to hop right there and it just ate my input. It's very difficult, and so be prepared to deal with frustration because the inputs are just not working the way you want them to. But anyway, like I said, I would recommend not really risking a lot in the beginning. I guess I'll try one run where I show you like what I would look like driving here, the more advanced strategy. Obviously you want to do a mushroom or a start boost slide right there. I can go around here. There is an extra mini turbo, or a way to do this part. Oh, see, it didn't work. I can do an extra one here. Yeah, it's just like, even when I try to do something that's safe, but like for my driving, I'll still mess up like that. Let's just try to do the whole run. You can MT starting on that hill. Of course, I can't even get it at all right now. So you can go between those two moles. I wouldn't recommend doing that as a beginner. One thing that's nice about this course though is because it's so wide, you can practice doing straight stretch and mini turbos in the beginning part. And it's not too hard to do it in that spot. Alright, let's risk the last mushroom here. And it works. So even with hitting that mole, I got a 116. I would say a good time for a beginner would be anything below like 125 is what you want to start out with. Anything below 120 is decent, and then from there you'll just keep going and getting better. And I think that's about everything. Like I said, focus on getting better at your driving. I wouldn't go in too hard in this course right away, but if you come back later and you really fall in love with it, then you'll find that you can actually get really, really good times with it because a lot of people don't like playing it. So it might be one of your highest ranks. For me, it's not, but yeah, so anyway, that's it for Moo Moo Farm, and have a good night, everybody.